meeting tonight to conduct matters of importance. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech, so that we may reach a successful conclusion. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for the adoption of this evening's agenda.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. If there's anybody from the public that would like to speak on anything on the agenda this evening, now is your time to talk. So if you have something you would like to express, come up to one of the microphones one at a time and state your what you're going to be speaking on and your name and address.
Okay. My name is Jeff Zadrali. I live at 1351 Silverwood Lane in the town of Menasha. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to quickly address you. I'm here to make a request regarding an issue that has engendered a lot of differing opinions in our state. My purpose is not to try to convince you to take a position on this issue one way or the other. My purpose here is a nonpartisan one, and you may guess that the issue has to deal with the Badger Care Insurance Program here in the state of Wisconsin. The issue is whether or not Wisconsin should agree to accept the 100% federal funding up until 2016 for the reinstatement of people who previously were on Badger Care but have since been taken off the rolls. So more succinctly stated, the question is, should Wisconsin accept their federal funds for the expansion of Badger Care in Wisconsin? Again, I'm not asking you to take a position on this issue. I'm asking you to please consider allowing the citizens of Winnebago County to have a voice in this issue. I know that you value the opinions of the people who elected you here, and I think this is a good example of letting everyone have an opportunity to at least have a say, and then let that say be conveyed to the state legislators so they can see how, hopefully, all the people in Wisconsin feel about this issue, one way or the other. So I thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? Yes, come forward and state your name and address.
I'm Harrison Sturgis, 167 Rockwood Lane, Tonawanda, lifelong Tonawanda resident. I would like to comment on report number 2, since I wasn't able to do it at the public hearing because my car stalled on the way there. Considering all of the money the town and county spent on putting together land use plans, I find it hard to understand how rezoning property, heavy industrial, right next to the only property in the town earmarked for high-density residential can make any sense without a land use plan change prior to rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? Yes. We need your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Javier Dimas, and I live at 3651 San Pedro Road, Oshkosh. I just wanted to reiterate what the gentleman earlier said about the referendum. I really believe that the people need to vote on it. It's going on all over the state of Wisconsin, as you know, I'm sure. Wood County just decided, their county decided to put it on the ballot. And I would wish that you do put it on the ballot and let them decide. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda? Yes.
I'm Carol Kinnear. I live at 726 Clay Road in the town of Nakai. I'm here to speak on both of the issues briefly. My background is I'm 41 years in healthcare, the last 19 years as a nurse practitioner in a small rural clinic with one MD and me. We dealt with a lot of low-income families and Medicaid families as well as Medicare families. My husband and I own a dairy farm. My husband is self-employed also as a dairy veterinarian, and we do employ 1 to 3 persons as needed depending on the seasons. The promotion of the minimum wage and the Medicaid expansion at face value seems very laudable. And having been scripted to become a charged emotional issue, which people want placed on the ballot. Minimum wage, however, if we research it, was never meant to be a life-sustaining income. I have seen this repeatedly in my practice when I'm dealing with Medicaid patients. Minimum wage gives you an opportunity to develop workforce skills. It teaches you to show up on time, conduct yourself for the benefit of the organization, and develop consistent work skills. At that point, it gives you the opportunity to advance within the organization or advance through further education or another business setting. Further, this is not a simple singular issue. This becomes a pyramid of events which will negatively affect the persons you hope to help the most, and the working middle class and the small business owners. Mandating minimum wage will result in the need to increase the wages of all the other employees. It will increase the cost to business as they must be passed on to the purchaser, but it is not that simple. Every supplier to this one business will also need to increase their wages and costs in an attempt to live within the mandate. You mandate by law rather than letting the market take care of it. As with many well-intentioned efforts, the unintended consequences requires a thorough research of ramifications of all your proposals. For example, being in the dairy industry for all of my life, I'm sure many of you realize that there have been increased installation of robotic milking systems. The chip inserted into the animal takes care of all the necessary information that the owner needs to have as far as how much feed is consumed, how much milk the animal gives, how often they come to the feed trough, etc. This means we don't have to hire those employees, there's no benefits involved, and no worries about employees showing up. This week there was also a news segment featuring an automated pizza venue, which basically was all robotic controlled, including taking your payment. This ultimately is going to end up in decreased number of jobs rather than increased. The goal you propose is like putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage. If you want to do well by the poor, start at the ground level and start looking at the real issues. Some of these are the decline of the family, where work ethic and responsibility have been fostered within the household. Schools that do not prepare students for post-high school work and education. Students who do not take seriously their educational resources. A culture that promotes government. And one final thing, when our president signs an executive order not requiring welfare recipients to look for worker employment, this becomes a lifelong lifestyle. Finally, the federal Medicaid issue. This is not free. This free money comes from taxpayers. While it may seem that the feds will subsidize this, look further. Eventually, it states very unequivocally, the state will be accountable for the majority of these costs. And as we add more people to these roles, it is going to literally eliminate the middle class. Even more, every federal program adds more layers between providers and patients. The last 5 years have been horrendous. You can hardly order a test without getting prior approval from somebody in some place like Arizona. Costs are higher than ever. Care has declined considerably. Protocols become the standard of care rather than the visits being patient-centered. It is also finally intriguing to me, given that our current county executive is running for a position on the ballot in November, that this is going to appear on your agenda tonight. I also think that this probably needs to be more decided at a state level. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on anything on the agenda this evening?
My name is Stephen Landald, and I live at 1513 Clairville Road in the town of Nakaimai. I'd like to speak the minimum wage. Can I change glasses? Excuse me. Minimum wage was meant for entry-level workers, a beginning job for non-skilled, non-work experience, non-work ethic people. It wasn't meant to as a lifetime employment. Lifetime. When you establish a skill, a work ethic, your employer will raise your pay and give you responsibility because you are more valuable. Number 3, if the employer doesn't raise your pay, get another job with a higher pay commensurate with your worth. You are not owned by the employer. Number 4, you are not frozen to the employer. In the United States, you are free to move from one employer to another. Number 5, most employers will pay for successful completion of advanced education and raise your pay according to your worth. In fact, and this is a little bit controversial, but if we eliminated the minimum wage, some people would go to work for $4 or $5 an hour. Some people would maybe go to work for $9 or $10 an hour. But if a person wants to stay at 4 or 5, they can stay at 4 or 5. If they want to go to $15 or $20 an hour, they will work harder and gain skill. And thus, most people will raise their skill levels to the level that they want to earn. Thus, the employer will gain, society will gain, and the employee will gain because they're not trapped in one level. When I was 13 years old, growing up in Green Bay, I worked for a truck garden farmer at 15 cents an hour. Short time later, I got a job, and we worked 6 or 7 hours a day. So I make close to $1 for the day. Then I went to work for his brother. We worked from 7 in the morning until noon at 20 cents an hour. Wow, great. Then I went swimming in the afternoon at Johnny's Park for a couple hours. Then I came home and peddled papers for the Green Bay Press Gazette. Made another $1. Wow. By 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I had swam, and I made $2. Man, was I rich. Go ahead, pass a higher minimum wage, and then watch industry and business leave. And if those that are looking to establish or to grow, they're going to grow or establish in another county, because they're going to look at Winnebago County as being anti-business. Business doesn't locate themselves or stay where they're not wanted. So that's all I have to say, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep, we need your name and address.
Certainly. Thank you. My name is Eileen Costello, and I'm a proud resident of Winnebago County in the town of Neenah, 1616 South Park, and I've lived here since 1999. Wild. And I'm here to voice some support for the resolution to consider the North Winnebago County Dog Park proposal. And I frequently love to be using our county parks at boat landings and here in Oshkosh, great for walking and so forth. And I know that people that own dogs, frequently I see them out walking them on a leash. It's fantastic here. I always, love to see people about. A lot of times it's couples. I love dogs that are out and about because I see families together. I see couples. I see people of young ages and old ages. It's really amazing. But I know dogs like to run. And here in Winnebago County, especially like at the town of Neenah, dogs aren't allowed to be in parks, which I understand, just like at schools, because perhaps they're not cleaned up properly, and it's a place for children and other people to play sports. So to me, having another facility that will service the north side in a very cost-effective way will be a great addition to living here in our county. We are so blessed to have opportunities with our boating and all kinds of things, and I just think it's another way to interact, not just with you and your pet at a dog park, but people interact together, whether within a family unit or people that usually can't communicate to their next-door neighbors. Many people don't even talk to their neighbors, but if they have a dog or something in a nice, safe setting like a dog park, it brings people together. It just adds another layer of living here in the fabric of our life that I believe really will enrich us. So thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? Yes.
Thank you again. My name is Javier Dimas, and I live at 3651 San Pedro Road in the township of Algoma. I've been here in Oshkosh approximately 8 years. I grew up in Green Lake County all my life, and I am glad I moved to Winnebago County. I would like to add on the gentleman's comments about the minimum wage. I am in support of it. I, too, wish that you allow the people to vote, decide on it. My experience with minimum wage is totally different than what he explained. I understand what he's talking about. I was born and raised in a union household. I belong to local 578 here in Oshkosh, Oshkosh Truck. Within the last 8 years, I've changed employments because of my opportunities, as he said, and my skills. But in that time, there's been corporations like Mercury Marine and Fond du Lac, Alliance and Ripon, and now Oshkosh Truck. We had a battle trying to get our pay scale arranged so that we could survive, so that we could get that 2-3% rate of inflation, and we didn't get that. We got scare tactic that if you don't agree on the contract, we can move this company. You've got what? You've got 3,200 people. The economy is not very good. What are you going to do? We accepted it. We didn't get a raise. They changed the rules on us as far as pension for new people. So, what kind of opportunity is that they're saying, that he's saying that? No, they're not doing that. Corporations are no longer doing that. They give you a job. They want to pay you $10 an hour. That's what Alliance is doing. That's what Mercury Marine. What kind of employees I got friends and relatives that work at these corporations, and they don't get very good turnout. The turnout is bad, because they don't get the skilled people. But the employer is willing to hire because they've got contracts to meet. They've got benchmarks to meet, and they struggle. But, the people want an opportunity to make income. Yeah. Minimum wage was not meant to be raised to raise a family on. But you know what? All employers are paying that. They're not offering that. They're really not. They say they are, but they're not. Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to address the board on anything? I don't want to get into point and counterpoint. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? Yes, would you come forward?
I'm Kaylee Powell. I live at 7185 Clarks Point Road, and I would like the Winnebago County to please petition the state to accept the federal medical assistance monies. I'm a nurse, and I get paid by medical assistance, and it would be wonderful to have the 63,000 people that are not covered after the recent cuts to Badger Care covered. And it would also be a higher, it would be a source of clients also for me who gets paid by the state medical assistance system. Admittedly, we haven't had a raise in 15 years, but we're a very cost-effective unit that provides a great service, skilled nursing to families in Winnebago County and all over the state. We're very fortunate to have this program here, and people need to be covered by health insurance. It's a very important aspect, and the facilities need to get reimbursed. Even though they complain about the level of reimbursement, they're putting up signs every day. So I don't know that you need to increase their reimbursement, but they're putting up new signs and advertising health care, and their service should be enough to do that. So I would like the county to petition the state, put it on the next ballot, that we accept the federal monies for medical assistance. It's a travesty that in the richest country in the world, we have to have bake sales for people to pay for their health care. I'm embarrassed.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything? I had a lot of phone calls on the dog park. I mean, I see somebody sitting there that talked to me at different times. I'm sure somebody has had an opinion and some literature here. Now's your chance to talk. Okay, go ahead.
I'm Jeff Sodrali. I'll be very quick, town of Menasha. I just want to very respectfully say to you supervisors that the vote that I think you're going to be taking this evening on these two resolutions related to the ballot in November should not depend on your position, yay or nay. That's your decision to make personally. The decision that you need to make this evening is whether or not the voice of the people of Winnebago County can be heard via an advisory referendum, yay or nay, on these issues. And the results, however they came out, yay or nay, be conveyed to the state legislature to influence them one way or the other. It's not a decision to decide on the worth or whether you should or should not do these things. It's a decision as to whether or not the opportunity to have an opinion will be given to the people of Winnebago County on the November ballot.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to talk on anything on the agenda this evening? Now's your chance to talk. Yes, state your name and address.
Well, we're on the agenda, I believe, so we'll just...
Okay, so you're going to want to become, okay, that's good. But I just said there were numerous people that had called about the dog park, and I see somebody is sitting there, unless just one of us are representing everybody, I mean, that happens too. I just wanted to make sure you had your chance to speak.
This is our full committee, I'll come up with that.
Okay. Okay, that portion of the meeting will be closed. Communications and petitions from the clerk.
We have some notices of claims this evening. The first one comes from Batteries and Bulbs for damage to their store's awning caused by a county truck, referred to Personnel and Finance. A notice of claim from Nikki M. Bieber for irreparable damage to her reputation, being referred to the Personnel and Finance Committee. A notice of claim from Kim Nokunsky for damage to her mailbox and post, referred to Personnel and Finance. We've got a number of resolutions from other counties tonight. The first one comes from Dorr, and their resolution is in opposition to the proposed lapse in state funding to the circuit court system, referred to Judiciary and Public Safety. A resolution from Milwaukee County. They're expressing their opposition to the proposed $11.8 million budget reduction in funding to the Wisconsin Circuit Court system, also referred to Judiciary. Resolution from Oconto County in support of state funding for County Emergency Dispatch 911 services, one designated public safety answering point per county, referred to Judiciary and Public Safety. Then there's a resolution from Outagamie County directing that a question be put on the November ballot. Shall the state legislature accept available federal funds for expansion of Badger Care? Referred to the Legislative Committee. And a resolution from Shawano County, opposition to proposed lapse in state funding to circuit court system, referred to Judiciary and Public Safety. And that's all.
Approval of the proceedings from July 22nd, 2014 county board meeting. Been moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Pardon? Okay, reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Supervisor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to announce or point out and recognize that we'll be losing a very valuable member of the park staff. Lauren Dick, who has been the assistant parks director for a few years now, has been with the parks department for about 8 to 10 years, will be leaving the county on next Tuesday, August 27th, and he has accepted the position to be the department head of the parks department in Outagamie County. So I wish him well in those endeavors, and I know he's been very thought of by many on the parks board as well as those who use the park.
Thank you. Supervisor Barker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank everybody who came to the fair and who came and helped us at the fair. Please know that.
You got to speak right into your mic.
Please know that we on the fair board are so happy to have the help that we get, and it did turn out very well, and God looked down on us and it didn't rain. So everybody, I hope you all enjoyed the fair as much as we on the board did.
Thank you. Supervisor Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say about the same as what Nancy had just said, but I also want to thank Lauren, which will be leaving, and Don and their crew out of the parks, which did us an outstanding job again this year. Anytime we needed them, we just called them, and they were right there and helped us an awful lot. So kudos to what Nancy said, and I just want to thank the Parks Department and everyone else that helped judge and whatever else. And those of you that come to the fair, it meant a lot more than what you even realize. Thank you.
Thank you. County Executive Report.
I wanted to tell the board that our budget deliberations are well underway. Our net new construction number, which is the amount by which we can increase the total levy, came in at 1.03, I believe it is. So we have roughly 1% allowable increase in the overall levy. And because that's a little less than the appreciation of the base, that will likely result in the tax levy coming down a fraction of a cent or more. So we're still going through that process. It's a complicated process, and we still have a few big departments to go through, but we're well underway, and we will operate within that target. There are 4 resolutions that I thought were worthy of mentioning. One is resolution number 70 regarding the establishment of a county dog park. I will take that as an indication of the board's support or disapproval of creating a dog park. I do not have room to add additional levy towards that. I do, however, have sufficient reserves that if the board indicates strong approval, I will set aside an amount of reserves to help that move along. And I do think, I know when I think of use of the park with my kids, it was largely a place where they played soccer. It was a place where we would go to playgrounds at different parks. People whose kids have grown and left home, or people who don't have kids, oftentimes they use parks in a very similar way to what I did, but they enjoy them through the social aspects of meeting with other dog owners and giving recreation to their dogs. And I think it's a completely legitimate and worthy use of recreation. So I do personally support that and hope that we can eventually establish a dog park in the North End. The other three resolutions I want to mention briefly. The Industrial Development Board loan, that helps retain and grow jobs in Omro. That doesn't have a cost to the county. If anything, it gives us a little bit of income because we loan those monies only to municipalities who then pass them on to industry, and we loan them at 0.25% above our current money market rate. So we actually make a little money, if anything, on those loans, and the risk is borne by the cities that sponsor them, but they also can help to create or retain jobs, and they're important. There's two resolutions that I'll take together with regard to advisory referendums. I just want to point out to the board that neither of those are an expression of the board's support or opposition to those items. What they're asking the board to do is to allow the public to have advisory referendums. And even there, this is not asking for a change in Winnebago's minimum wage. This is allowing the people of Winnebago to have the discussion and a vote regarding minimum wage, which would then send an indication to the state of local intent with regard to a state-wide increase in minimum wage. So even if the public votes for or against it, it won't change policy on its own. It will simply tell legislators where the people of this county stand. The same is true with regard to the question on the acceptance of the expanded Medicare monies. The resolution, we're not asking the board to support or oppose that. This resolution is asking the board to allow the public to have a referendum. And even that public referendum won't necessarily control the outcome, but it will send a signal to the state of where the residents of Winnebago County stand on the issue. And even as tonight we had articulate debate in the public comments on both sides of the issue, perhaps the referendum will cause some articulate debate and will allow the state legislators to find out where the public stands on these issues. So I would support passage of all four of those resolutions. Contrary to comments made earlier, I did not have advanced knowledge of these resolutions before they were submitted, but I do think they're worthy of consideration, and I am concerned that there might be confusion on what is actually being asked for here. And on that, that's all I have for you tonight.
Supervisor Kaminsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Executive Harris, on line 38 on the resolution or the minimum wage, there is a dollar amount on that, and that's contrary to what you're saying.
Yes, actually, that's contrary to my personal proposal. But again, the author, my reading of this is that the author is asking the board to allow the placement of a referendum on the ballot, which would allow the citizens of Winnebago County to express their feelings towards that change. However they vote on that will not make the change occur on its own. That is simply showing what their sentiments are to state legislators who would have to eventually vote on the issue. And this is with regard to the state minimum wage. I'm sure you're aware of comments I've made on what I'm proposing for the federal minimum wage, which is separate.
Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a clarification. Yeah, you spoke to the 1.03% increase allowable in levy.
That's correct.
And then you commented a few cents. You're referring to the mill rate would be reduced a few cents.
Yes, the county's increase in equalized value was, of course, greater than the amount of net new construction. So what that means is the maximum amount that we can raise the levy, roughly 1%, is a little less than the growth of the property values in the county. And therefore, Even if we go with the maximum, there would be a fraction of a cent decrease in the equalized tax rate. Now, again, an individual's tax rate, much harder to predict because it depends on how your home appreciated against the whole base.
Yeah, I'll only refer to the levy, yeah.
Yeah. So it's very likely that when the budget is complete, we may lose the difference in rounding, but it'll probably be a very similar tax rate or a lower tax rate.
Thank you.
And we're talking about the operating budget. There's also the capital budget as well, and I suspect we'll see a drop in the rate on the capital side as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I advise then to the author of this resolution to possibly, as it goes forward, to eliminate that $10.10 per hour. It might hurt his efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, right?
Thank you.
Okay, I just was going to comment that I've been sitting in on the budget process, and it's going very well, and we're probably well halfway through it, and they're all pretty much meeting their targets and are agreeable, and it's not an easy task, and the executive and the finance director are on their heels to cut, so, I mean, they want to bring it in as a, Mr. Farley states, a decent levy limit, so that's the process that we're going on. Now we'll do the presentation by Kathy Casperson of the Friends of the Winnebago County Dog Park.
I'm bringing my support troops up here with me. Hi, I'm Kathy Casperson, 817 Tumblebrook Road, Neenah, and I'm chair of ESC Exploratory Subcommittee to the Friends of Winnebago County Parks. Our entire committee is joining me here today, and I really want to thank them for all of their effort over the many weeks and months to get us to the point today, and I can't appreciate all of their time more, so thank you very much for coming. So we are a committee of 8 concerned citizens, and we're strictly here on a volunteer basis. We're all from Winnebago County, the northern section, and we feel very strongly that a dog park in our area would greatly benefit our entire community. Since April 1st of this year, our main goal has been to help complement the Friends of the Winnebago County Dog Parks with targeted marketing efforts. With the help of Rob Way, who's the Winnebago County Parks Director, and his staff, we went back and we reviewed over 22 past land sites. And in addition, we researched the availability of some new property in the northern part of Winnebago County. Could I have a show of hands of everybody here who owns a dog? Great. How many people do not own a dog? I'm also in that category. I lost my golden retriever, Finley, last October. But I have visited many, many dog parks, and I know the value of dog parks. And the need for a dog park is actually greater now than it's ever been before. So I hope everybody understands, if you have a dog or not, the need that's there. There's approximately 3,400 licensed dogs in the city of Neenah, the city of Menasha, and the town of Menasha alone. That's 3,400 licensed dogs. How many aren't licensed? We're not sure. Last year, there was over 100,000 dogs that visited the Oshkosh Dog Park. And in addition to that, the Outagamie Dog Park that we go to, it's such a huge usage out there that outside of the parking lot, people are parking out on the road. The people in the northern part of Winnebago, we have to drive about 18 miles to visit Oshkosh or the Outagamie Dog Park. If we would get a northern dog park, we'd only have to go 4 or 5 miles. And those dog owners that would be local would now be adding to the economy in the Winnebago County versus going out to Outagamie, where they're stopping for gas and food, and likewise. Our marketing efforts have already helped the Oshkosh Dog Park. There have been 1,000 of these tri-fold dog brochures that were prepared by Michelle Kennedy. And our group, just the people here behind me, we have handed out of the 1,000 over 900 of these brochures. And they've been handed out to over 20 businesses in Neenah, in Menasha, and in Oshkosh. In May and June of this year, we had our efforts published in the Post-Crescent and the News Record, and they have promoted our efforts and are looking for donations for the land and talking about our dog park needs. So after attending numerous local municipal meetings, we have received overwhelming support. This is attested by the many support letters that many of you have had an opportunity to review. We have partnered up with the Oshkosh Dog Park and supported their fundraisers, including their doggy paddle at the beach. We want to thank Rob Way for his help and direction and education, and through him we've aided in making dog owners aware of the Oshkosh Dog Park opportunities while gaining support for the Northern Dog Park. We have met with Mike Lanier, who's the new president of the Friends of Winnebago County Dog Park, and we look forward to working together for a future park. The ESC committee, the group that's up here now, we've given Winnebago County Parks our recommendations for land consideration. Accomplishing this was our main goal of our committee, and I think we've done a great job. If the new dog park is approved, this ESC committee has agreed to remain involved as a sounding board for the Winnebago County Parks. The Northern Dog Park will be designed as ADA accessible and would be one of the first dog parks in the state of Wisconsin capable of facilitating access around the perimeter of the site for visitors who may be mobility impaired. And I think it would be very gratifying to see families, children possibly in wheelchairs with their spouses or parents that can go out with their family dog and enjoy exercise and be at the park together. Winnebago County Parks will market the new dog park. The new Northern Dog Park will work in tandem with the current Winnebago County Dog Park, benefiting both financially. Now, I've attended these board meetings in the past, and I'm so pleased to be in front of a group of board members that are receptive to the ideas and recommendations from the community and actually represent the interest of the public. And I know you'll continue to vote in our best interest, and I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and you did a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to zoning Supervisor Kreitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking for approval of report number 1.
Okay, report number 1, Roger N. Jones on the Town of Blackwell and a mandatory ordinance number 0801-2014 rezoning the A2 General Agriculture for tax parcel number 004 017802. We're asking for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking for approval of report number 1.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 1.
Then moved and seconded to accept the mandatory ordinance number 1. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Report number 2, Michael Coonan and Peter Donner, Salvage Scrap Industries, Town of Neenah, a mandatory ordinance number 0802-2014, rezoning to number 2, heavy industrial for tax parcel number 010-0183-01P.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking for approval of report number 2.
Then moved and seconded to accept report number 2. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Supervisor Hagan.
Was this the one that somebody had a question about who spoke from the audience earlier? And if so, what was the question?
I don't remember.
Let's see.
Any other questions on something that was described here? Harrison Sturgeon had concern about being too close to where it was going to be a residential area.
Okay, I abstain.
He's here. But he had expressed concern about it being too close to a recommended residential area. Supervisor Egan.
I was just going to answer that question as Mr. Sturgis had the question. But when we went out and looked at it, there is property already there. It's just being added right onto it. So it isn't like it's a whole new property going around that being built up.
Okay, we'll go back to the beginning of it. All in favor of report number 2, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 20802-2014 rezoning to 1-2 heavy industrial for tax parcel 010-018-301P. Supervisor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 2.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a mandatory ordinance number 2. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Report number 3. Arnold and Dorothy John Batke, Living Trust, Town of Utica, a mandatory ordinance 0803-2014, rezoning A1 agribusiness for tax parcel number 0240681. Supervisor Kreischer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of report number 3.
I so move.
It's been moved and seconded to accept report number 3. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 803-2014, rezoning to A1 agricultural business for tax parcel number 0240681. Supervisor Kreischer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of a mandatory ordinance number 3.
Been moved and seconded to accept the mandatory ordinance number 3. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Report number 4, David Jeffers, Town of Utica. Supervisor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of report number 4.
Been moved and seconded to accept report number 4. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 0804-2014, rezoning to A1 agribusiness for tax parcel number 0240409. Supervisor Kreischer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 4.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Report number 5, Kevin and Brenda Kozlowski, Town of Utica. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look for approval of report number 5.
Been moved and seconded to accept report number 5. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mandatory ordinance number 5, 0805-2014, rezoning to A1 agribusiness for tax parcel number 0240166. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 5.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Report number 6, Darrell Cumbier, Town of Utica. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval for report number 6.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 0806-2014, rezoning of A1 agribusiness for tax parcel number 0240520. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 6.
Been moved and seconded to accept the mandatory ordinance number 6. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Report number 7, Thomas and Ellen Lloyd, Town of Utica. Supervisor Frazier.
I'm looking for approval of report number 7.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for report number 7. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 0807-2014, rezoning to A1 agribusiness for ag tax parcel number 024-0523, 024-0526, 024-0521/01. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 7.
Second. Been moved and seconded for mandatory ordinance number 2. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Report number 8, Harry Lund, Town of Utica. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval for report number 8.
It's been moved and seconded for report number 8. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 08-2014, the tax parcel 024-0493. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 8.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 9, James Coates, Town of Coigan, rezoning to A2 agriculture for tax parcel number 020-0269-01. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 9.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 10, Dan and Lori Folt, Town of Wolf River, rezoning the business district for tax parcel numbers 032-0270-02 and 032-0270-04. Supervisor Frazier.
Looking for approval for a mandatory ordinance number 10.
Second. And moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. I'll abstain, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. That's one abstention. Okay. Mandatory ordinance number 11, Mark Madison, Town of Wolf River, rezoning to A3 Small Farming District for tax parcel number 032-0178-01. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 11.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 12, Kenneth Town of Wolf River, rezoning to business district for tax parcel number 032-0193-0101. Supervisor Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking for approval of mandatory ordinance number 12.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Why did we have such a rush all of a sudden? We had only been months and months and months. Now all of a sudden we're all here.
It's your fault.
The economy picked
I
up
opened the
that
door
much?
and they all came flying right in. I lost.
Resolutions and ordinances. Resolution number 66-82014, disallow claim of Patricia Hetland. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of resolution number 66-8-2014.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 67-82014, disallow claim of Robert Losey. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. Move for resolution number 67-8-2014.
Second. Been moved and seconded to disallow the claim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 68-82014, disallow the claim of Rick Sterling. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you.
Move for approval of resolution number 688, 2014.
Second. Been moved and seconded to disallow the claim. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution 6982-014, disallow claim of Ronald Holcomb. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. Move for approval of resolution number 698, 2014.
Second. Been moved and seconded to disallow the claim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 7082014, support of efforts to establish a county dog park in northern section of Winnebago County. Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for resolution 70-82014.
Second. Supervisor Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought hard and long about this resolution, and it seems to me, from a practical point of view, that I have to be opposed to this because, first of all, I didn't see any dollar numbers for this resolution. So we're being asked to pass something that we don't know how much it's going to cost. Dog parks have gained popularity, and no one can predict how long this fad will last. Dogs are being pampered to an extreme. Gourmet foods, desserts, and the dog park is another dog pampering idea. I'm against using Winnebago County dollars to support a dog park. We have a perfectly good one presently in our county park. I would ask people to ask their neighboring counties how many dog parks they have. If people don't want to drive 18 miles, then perhaps a brisk walk should be considered instead. Not every municipality in the state has even one park. This, like the $186,000 spent on pickleball courts last year, benefits few and will not have a significant impact on revenue. The proposal calls for county parks to absorb marketing dollars to promote the park. We don't know how much this is going to be. So I'm not a dog owner, but I don't get me wrong. I like dogs. My family has dogs. I just don't see the need for adding another playground for dogs. Thank you.
Supervisor Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During the presentation, we heard a number of references to a site or a park, and I'm curious to know, the young lady said that 22 sites were revisited. The presentation that we had in our packet indicated some information about a potential site, which I believe is no longer a potential site. So where are we at in regards to a potential site?
I can comment both of them. First off is Supervisor Olson, you're partial correct. The dog park here in Oshkosh is way too small for Winnebago County, and there is no room to enhance it, none whatsoever. Number two, as far as, yes, we were pretty hot and heavy over a site called Gladfelter's. However, some things had arisen that now we're taking a couple steps backwards. All right. And as far as the money goes, I had talked to some of my supervisors, and come budget time, I'm going to be up front. I'm going to ask if we could put $100,000 into the budget. One of the main reasons is, and I mentioned this if you remember last meeting, myself and Mr. Young sitting in the back, we went to a very prestigious individual, because I can go and talk to a lot of people and I can pick up $50, $100, maybe luckily $1,000. But I do not know how to pick up $25,000, $50,000, and or whatever. So we went to this individual and we talked for about maybe 20, 25 minutes. And his exact words to me was, Jerry, first get board approval. And that's what we're doing tonight. Just getting board approval, the concept of the possibility of a dog park up front. Second, he said, get some money in a budget to help pay for it. And that's why I'll be up front. I'm going to ask for $100,000 to be put in the budget. Whether I get it or not, maybe I might only get 20 or 25. I don't know. But I'm hoping for the $100,000. And he's told me also to get some advertisement.
Well, I talked with the Post-Crescent, and as Ms. Katzman said, we did already 2 articles in the Post-Crescent already, and I'm hoping to have another one over tonight's meeting. Like I say, the one park we're all very hot on, it's not as, it's an excellent park in my opinion, but it's still got it's a landfill site, and there could be some liabilities. So, and I myself, and I even told the committee this, and I told Rob this, that I'm not about to spend X dollars and owe nothing. So we could turn around and have it for 20 years and pay $100,000, $200,000 and wouldn't even be ours. So no, I won't go that route. But what I need is board approval tonight. I need money put in the budget, come budget time, and advertisement. And that's all I'm asking for. And we've spent a lot of money on a lot of other things in this county parks, in this county individually, whether it be Parkview, the airport, whatever. We spent a ton of money. And I think for the people, and I do not have a dog, by the way, and no one in my family has a dog, but for the people who pay their taxes like anybody else should have that right to have something to use for their dogs. And if any of you people would take the time, just go out here to Oshkosh and watch the dogs. There's dogs sitting out there waiting for their friends to come through that gate so they can go out and run and play together. I mean, it's just like kids. It truly is. You got to see it to believe it. So all I'm asking for right now is for approval for the concept of a dog park on the northern end of the county. That's it.
So I'm thinking then that the answer to the question about a potential site right now is there is not one.
I would say that would be correct for today anyway.
Okay.
That could change tomorrow.
The second question I would have is in regards to the process of trying to establish a North County dog park. How much time, energy, and money has already been spent by the Parks Director and the Park Department on trying to find a location, going to all the meetings, presentations, proposals, et cetera, et cetera?
I'll answer that for you too, and Rob, you can vouch for it. The majority of meetings that Rob goes to is after hours. He's one of the few people working for Winnebago County that will go to a meeting at 6:30 at night and not get paid for it. Well, I'm just telling you my feelings. I'm just telling you my feelings, all right? And he is not getting paid to go to these meetings, to put in. Now, if you go from 7:30 until 4 o'clock or 4:30, that may be. But I don't know if too many times he's done that. Rob, you want to talk about it?
Sidestepping what you said, Jerry. I'm sorry, it'd be unfair to give a number. I can't even do an approximation. That doesn't mean that it's too high or too low. It's just, it's a, if you pardon the term, a hodgepodge of hours. It comes, it goes, depends on the day, the type of meetings and so forth. I could say through the past summer, yeah, it's picked up quite a bit because of these folks and what they've done. Just to keep pace with them, they have put in a lot of hours, but there hasn't been anything that's hampered administration, though.
Oh, yeah, and that was not the point. I guess the point is that there has been considerable time, energy, and dollars spent by the county already on trying to establish a North County dog park. We're hearing tonight, which Mr. Finch is very passionate about and is very transparent about, which I appreciate very much, that he is looking to put money into the 2015 budget. He even affixed a number to it. It's $1,000. So remember that tonight, those of you who didn't think that you were voting for a dollar figure on this resolution, you are kind of sort of voting for a dollar figure on this resolution. So remember that. Secondly, I just heard that a dog park is a right. I do not believe that a dog park is a right. I have a dog. I've had dogs. I love dogs. I would not bring my dog to a dog park. If you've ever been to a dog park, I guess it could be if a very pleasurable experience if that's what you want. It's kind of dirty, kind of smelly. Who knows if the dogs who visit the dog park have had the necessary vaccinations that dogs should have when they are in close proximity and are playing together. Dogs who go to a dog park a fair amount tend to, for lack of a better term, gang up on the new dogs that come to the dog park. And also I've seen, and I know one neighbor specifically who was injured very severely by a dog at play. And I know you have to be careful when you're around dogs at play. But if you've seen the activities in a dog park, you know that it's pretty much a free-for-all. My last comment in regards to the dog park is, much like I just heard about the $186,000 we spent on a pickleball court last year, we are staring down the horizon of impending doom in regards to emerald ash borer. It would do, I think it would do the Park and Rec Committee a lot of good, instead of wanting to put $100,000 into the 2015 budget for a dog park, to put in a substantial amount of money to get ahead of the emerald ash borer curve. We've heard about this. We've been to presentations. We are not even done with the study that we started earlier this year to identify how large the problem is in Winnebago County. This is not the right time to put money in a budget for a dog park. As much as I like dogs, and I think there are people committed to the idea of a dog park, that's great. If you look at the resolutions that were passed in your presentation from the other townships, various communities where they've looked at this resolution, you will also see in their whereas statements, they're great about having, wanting the county to develop a dog park that is owned and operated by Winnebago County. Remember that as well. These communities do not want to pitch in additional monies or help support the dog park. They want Winnebago County to support the dog park. So with that said, and I know a lot of you got phone calls, as did I, about supporting this resolution, remember, there are bigger problems with higher priorities in this county right now, and there will be an attempt made during the budget process to affix money to this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Much of my concern has been addressed by Supervisor Haig. I read this resolution as a support by the county board for a concept to establish, and I personally think I can support that. I don't know if I have a problem with it. My concern will be monies that will be required to purchase the property, funds that will be required to maintain the property, additional park staff if needed, and the greater liability to the county long term. So when I make the comment I can support the concept, I'm relying heavily on more volunteer participation and funding, and I really thank Mr. Finch for trying to secure as much of that as he can. That's a very good initiative. So I will vote for this, but with the note, the little caveat, I might not necessarily support money in the budget to fund the purchase of the property. So I want to make that quite clear. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Kaminsky.
We have an energetic committee here working for nothing to push this dog park, which is very well what you need. the location is pretty dang good. I've been out there, nice sized land. As far as owning it voluntarily, I have no problem with that. We're supporting the dog park here in Oshkosh. We can certainly support one on the other side. That dog park would be used more than your soccer fields, your ball diamonds, because they're used year-round or almost year-round. The need is there, the money is there, and at least support the efforts of this group. I can't understand why you can't give them a benefit of the doubt and take away all this energy that's out there right now. As far as money spent exploring the other sites, that was worked into our regular meeting committees on site and phone calls and stuff like that. We haven't spent a whole lot of money in that area, but people, I believe you should pass this. Give this committee their support. Don't let this go. Thank you.
Supervisor Field.
First, let me apologize. I've been out of the state pretty much for the last month and a half, so I'm on this committee, and that's why it's only 3-0. I, too, felt that we'd be voting for a concept and didn't get a chance to confer about the monies or whatnot. I do share some of the money concerns, but certainly not a concern about those who wish to organize and push such a initiative, and I think it's laudable. One thing I am concerned with that popped up tonight is maybe Supervisor Finch, I appreciate the transparency as well. Can you just share with them how you came to the $100,000 figure, just so that that kind of is clear?
I've been told by the lady who used to be in charge of the Oshkosh Friends of the Dog Park that Petco is famous for giving out $100,000 in donations to a brand new dog park. I've been told by by Director Way, Rob, that it's going to run, could be $200,000 maybe to get it up and running. All right? I also have these people I want to see after, I hope this gets approved tonight. All right? We might not even need the $100,000. I mean, if these other people come across, the group behind me, this committee, they already said that they already have people that want to donate something towards it also. But I'd rather have money up front than nothing at all. Now, I can't give you an honest answer. I mean, I could, in fact, be honest with you, I didn't even have to say I wanted $100,000. I could have said 25. But I feel this is very important, and I feel that's one thing this county board should do is keep everything up front, nothing behind.
Okay, so that's okay. Thanks. I will kind of concur with Supervisor Fari, where I think I am voting for the concept to
That's all
encourage.
This is, Brady. Just a concept.
But the money's going to have to be talked about later. Thanks.
Thank you. Supervisor Harder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're voting on what's before us, and there is no money attached to this. I think we need to keep that clear as we're voting. We're voting on the words on this paper here. Budget time is when we determine whether we're going to budget monies for different projects. Given that I don't own a dog, but the first question I was asked when I was elected to this county board was if I would support a dog park in the north side of this county. I wonder, why is there so much people that want to see a dog park on the north side of the county? Well, number one, is there any place else that you can, other than the county park, where you can take your dog off leash in this county? Can you do it on the Weewash Trail? I mean, maybe that's why can you do it on Lake Winnebago when it's frozen? Maybe that's the time when you can take your dog off a leash. You can't go into the city park even with your dog on a leash. I mean, there's some pretty oppressive rules that dog owners have to follow living in this county. And this is a quality of life issue. People want to move to a place. If they're a dog owner, they want to see that there's things that they can do with their dog. I have a cat. I don't need to worry about that. I just feed it. So I will support this because I know lots of people want to see a dog park on the north side. And so I think it's good for us to be doing something for the north side of this county instead of constantly concentrating around Oshkosh. Thank you.
Supervisor Turner. I guess my main concern is liability of the county. I don't own a dog, but I've taken my son's dog to a small dog park down in Dallas. It's very, very small, but it was crazy. I mean, just, because of, dogs are dogs, and they tend to don't want to play, but they also tend to want to fight. I realize there's a lot of dog owners out there who are very responsible. But then again, there are dog owners out there who are not responsible, who have ferocious dogs. And so that's my main concern, and maybe Mr. Bodner can speak to that as far as the liability of the county. Do we post a sign at the entrance saying, that we're not liable for anything, or do we require the owners to fill out forms showing that their dogs currently have rabies shots, and sign a liability form, and maybe even pay a small user fee to use the park? But then again, I'm for the concept, but I'm very concerned about the county's liability with the dog park. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Oshkosh. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I pretty much agree with Supervisor Keel and Hardy and Fari. Is what we're looking at tonight is just a concept. We're voting on a concept. We're not voting on money. I mean, when it gets to money, that's a budget thing, like Supervisor Hardy said. We can agree with it or disagree with it then. But I think I'll vote for this because we're looking at just the concept of should there be one on the north side of Winnebago County. That's basically all this resolution says. Thank you.
Supervisor Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of questions tonight about cost, and I think those are legitimate in a time and place. I just don't feel that the time is right now, whether it's later in the budget or further along when we actually have a designated site. I think that's more the appropriate time for that. Cost is always a factor, but really tonight what we're really talking about are two things. We're talking about, like folks had used the word concept. I agree, we're talking about concept, and we're talking about intent. And I would argue that that second one, intent, is even more important. And the reason I say that is we need to send a message to other individuals who have those dollars that can contribute to this project to let them know that conceptually we support this sort of project. In order to garner that interest, in order to garner those dollars, we need to let them know our view on this issue. When you look at other programs that have occurred in this county, it's not unlike how they first started. I know from the city of Neenah, there's a canine program, and there's a dive team. And I recall when the dive team started, there was some sort of resolution which demonstrated the interest on behalf of the city of Neenah to start that dive team. Not to specifically commit specific dollars, but to commit to the concept of a dive team. And what did that ultimately do? That engendered interest, and that engendered dollars. And really, realistically, that's what we're doing here tonight. We're trying to show that intent to generate that interest and those dollars for folks who might want to contribute to this sort of initiative. The bottom line is we've done this with other things as well more recently. It's a little more subtle than what I described, but very similar. If you think about what we did with the ice arena, it's not all that much different. It wasn't about money then, but it was about intent. We showed intent with various resolutions about whether or not we wanted to put it up for sale, about whether we wanted to do an RFP, about whether or not we wanted to maintain it as an ice facility. And why did we do that? We wanted to show intent, and we wanted to move the ball forward. Passing this resolution moves the ball forward for a dog park in the north end of the county. So I'd urge you to support it. Thank you.
Supervisor Olson.
Thank you. I just want to make one clarification with my statement. My statement has nothing to do with the fact that I hate dogs. It has nothing to do with the fact of where the dog park is located. I just think that in the realm of everything else that's in front of us, a second dog park isn't a priority. And again, I would ask if anybody on that committee called any of the other counties and asked how many dog parks they have. Milwaukee County, which is a huge county, I bet has only 3 dog parks. So if people if they want to take their dog to a dog park, they got to drive there. And so I think our resources could be spent elsewhere. Now I know this is just a concept and it's going to come up at budget time, but in theory I still can't support it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll vote by our little iPad. Vote aye if you approve. No if you disagree.
Thank you. Thank you.
Resolution number 7182-014, appropriate the sum of $78,000 to the Winnebago County Park capital outlay account for Lake Butamore boat landing ramp repair and ditch cleaning. Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I promise this resolution will not take as long. I go for Resolution 71-82014.
Then moved and seconded. I just wanted to comment that this money here comes out of the boat launch fees. The boaters pay for this. Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I assume we're talking about the boat launch that's actually in Butamore. Am I correct?
Yes.
In this, it states there's 2,800 lineal feet of ditches. I'm pretty familiar with that boat launch, and I am not know where them ditches would be. Can somebody elaborate on that?
Sure, I can. It was a rough measurement going from the front entranceway and even including some of the frontage along the road, Leonard's Point Road. And if you're not aware of it, there is, and I can understand why you think it comes up short of that number, but there's a long stretch that continues beyond what you can see through a tree line on down to the lake. So I can understand your impression that it's less than that, but it's pretty considerable.
Okay, so that's a reasonable estimate, what you're saying.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I need.
Supervisor Gabbard.
This question is for Rob. Rob, how much do you currently have in the boat landing collection fees?
Are you referring to what's been collected this year, or
No, what you have. In
Sure. At the beginning of the year, it was $209,000.
Okay.
And then that's from that point on, we're on pace for another approximate 100,000 is what we draw in.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, if there are no other questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You're right, it wasn't as long. Ordinance number 7282-014, amend Winnebago County General Code, Section 19.24, Parent 7, relating to the Sunnyville Exposition Center rental fee schedule. Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I feel the same way. This won't take as long either. I go for 72-82014. And Vicky's in the back, so if you need any questions.
Supervisor Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only question on the raising on that, which isn't that much, I realize, but why is there a raise period? You take out Life Fest, the fair, and maybe a few other things. All you got is the horse shows. You start losing them, and then what are you going to do? You're just going to start raising more and more money after that? Because it's mainly, and forgive me, I like that place out there, but you look at it, it's mainly used for horses.
Well, our intent with the raising of prices goes along with what we anticipate for operational costs. Obviously, those go up every year. So that certainly covers the anticipated amount. We also attempt to keep pace with our competition, if you would. So we do a market study, and some of that pricing is based on that as well.
Well, I don't know who you're keeping contact with. I'm afraid you're going to be losing some horse groups out there because they are moving other places. But besides that, I'm going to just say like the food court. Now that was put up by two different organizations, so you're charging for that all the time. The milk house isn't even used anymore because we had one of the best black and white shows in the state, and there was some misunderstanding, confusion, or whatever, and they claim they will never come back. So the only one that used the milk house is the fair. So why is that going up? I just have some problems with things like that, that there's some things that aren't even being used there, and then other things that are. It just seems like they've raised an awful lot. And you know, like the portable PA system is so much per day, but then it costs you $60 also to have someone set it up for you. You know, so in other words, you can have it, but if I can hook it up myself, I don't have to pay that $60. And it goes all the way from $60. Then the next few years, it's going to be $150 to have someone hook it up.
That is correct. That's how it would work out. It's a system that basically is new to the Expo Center. We don't have anything to base it on as far as trial-wise. So some of that is a shot in the dark on that particular item. There's not a comparable study that we can do with other places that have that.
Like I said, for the fair, I can't say enough good about the committee and all that over there. I think they're absolutely great and help us every way possible. But I just have a problem with some of this, and I'm afraid that we're going to, or as a board and as your committee, that if we start raising it a little bit all the time instead of working sometimes maybe the other way, and maybe you do. I don't see the contracts, so maybe those that are there for a longer period of time or are 5-6 years down the road, the same ones, maybe you do give them a better deal. But to follow by this, I just worry a little bit, knowing some of the horse show people. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll take a minute to reiterate Tom's concerns. I did receive a call from a group that wants to remain anonymous. They're a large horse club that does utilize our facility in Winnebago County. And the comment was made quite bluntly that, you know, if you keep raising, quote, your prices, I'm not going to quote the individual, put your own words in, we're just going to have to look for another facility. So to kind of piggyback on what Tom's saying, I as a supervisor have also been told the same thing. So I'm not going to support this either. We need to stand pat and keep people coming in.
We'll go by our iPad. We'll I if you're pleased. Vote to this approval. That failed. No, I don't think so. Oh, okay. Resolution 73-82014, authorize a 2-year contract with U.S. Cellular Wireless Service. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to approve resolution number 73-82014.
Been moved and seconded. Any other? Supervisor Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just was a little amused at the inclusion of a report marked confidential along with this resolution. I don't know why. Maybe it was because I was in the intelligence community in the service, but that's just interesting to me. Thank you.
Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question first is, how much money is involved in committing to this contract annually?
I can answer that, Mr. Chair. Kathy Lynn. Patty's going to answer the first one. You can answer that. She couldn't answer the other day.
This is service that's budgeted throughout the county based on usage, all the departments that have mobile devices, and it's a trend kind of based budget. It's separated out into each department, so there isn't a fixed lump sum, but the historical value has been about $59,000 per year to U.S. Cellular.
How many phones does this support?
222 mobile devices, 46 of which are smartphones.
How many hotspots?
That's not part of the U.S. Cellular contract. This is cellular.
Now, 59,000 is historical experience, or is that the estimate of going
That's a
forward?
historical cost. Yeah, and it is the estimate going forward because this contract is the exact same pricing as the previous 2-year contract.
Thank you.
Supervisor Higgins.
Ms. Vancour stole my thunder, Mr. Chairman. It's actually $59,744.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. I was going to say something, but I guess that was Resolution 7482014, approve industrial development board loan in the amount of $198,000 to the city of Lima. What this is, I'll just give a little brief explanation. They have the ability to pay it off, but they're going to expand their business again for another building. So they're going to use that money again. And this was one of the highlights, probably one of the better investments that we made through the Industrial Development Board with that group. So Supervisor Peller, you bring it forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move resolution number 7482014 be approved.
Then moved and seconded. He will be coming next month to give a presentation on how he's doing that. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution 7582014, placement of advisory question on countywide ballot, November 4th, 2014 elections. Supervisor Schellinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move adoption of Resolution 75-8-2014.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Go ahead.
I brought this resolution to the board today because I think it's a significant, has significant policy towards our budget and the people who we represent. The short version of how we got here starts with the Affordable Care Act, and that law brought forward some changes where the federal government would pick up 100% of the tab for additional Medicaid or Badger Care enrollees if the state raised the eligibility ceiling to 138% of federal poverty. For those who don't know, 100% of the federal poverty limit for a single person is $11,450 for the year, so that is not very much. A family of 4 would be $23,450. Wisconsin had adjusted the way that we administer Badger Care in such a way that some people who were on Badger Care this spring were kicked off of Badger Care, and other people who were not on Badger Care were newly eligible and received their care. The resulting fluctuation has led to some confusion and some costs that the county is bearing. There are about 63,000 people in the state who are kicked off of Badger Care. The state legislative fiscal bureau says that 2,234 of them live in Winnebago County. As the resolution states, the LFB estimates that that will take out over $64 million in our local economy through 2021. So these new people who were eligible for Badger Care, if we take the money, the state will pay 0% of their costs for the next couple of years. That will dovetail to a point where the feds pick up 90% and we pick up 10%. But that's not really the core of this question. The core of this question is how does it impact Winnebago County, and why should we have a say in this? That's because we do bear a cost in this process. The folks who lost their access to Badger Care are now people who instead of the state and the county paying 0%, we are paying 40%. About a year ago, Executive Harris was before this group and stated that the cost in unreimbursed Medicaid expenses for mental health coverage would be somewhere in the $100,000 neighborhood. I spoke with Outagamie County Deputy Director of Human Services, John Rathman, today, and they did a more comprehensive study for Outagamie County, which passed a similar resolution. Their number was $500,000 that the county was paying for unreimbursed Medicaid expenses. And we are at this point pretty much hamstrung. We don't have an opportunity to fix this situation through measures at this board. However, we do have the opportunity to regain our place as a stakeholder in this conversation. On your desks, I placed 6 letters of support from different organizations. The American College of Physicians, which talks about how uninsured people are unable to pay for their care, and that comes back to the county in some ways. The Mental Health America of Wisconsin talks about how those mental health care costs that are not being reimbursed to the counties. The National Alliance for Mental Health talks about the financial assistance that was supposed to be available on the marketplace and isn't. And so all of this long road brings us to a point where we're still not sure what's coming. But we know that right now we're going to be stuck footing a bill that we are not being invited to the table to talk about. So I encourage you to vote yes on this and give us a place as a stakeholder in this conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Those of you who remember some of my previous discussions about resolutions urging the legislature to do one thing or another will recall that I have always opposed those, not because I'm concerned with the substance of the resolution, but I'm concerned with the issue of county board members pretending to represent the state matters and federal matters of the voters of Winnebago County. I have consistently done that, and I want to be very sure that no one interprets my opposition tonight to any feelings that I might have about the 2 issues involved. Those 2 issues are my private concerns, and they are communicated to my state legislators and my congressmen. The real issue that I believe ought to be dealt with tonight is whether the county board should speak on issues that come to other legislative bodies when those issues do not directly reflect or impact the business of Winnebago County. That is the issue. I am not concerned about the substance of either of these 2 resolutions coming up. It is a position, as I said, I've taken for a very long time. I reiterate the fact that none of us were elected to make statements about this kind of issues. I don't think any of us recall constituents in the past telling us how we ought to be on that. It never figured into our election campaigns. It is not our business. So let us let the legislature deal with Wisconsin issues and Congress deal with national issues, and let the board's vote reflect our principle that we are committed to dealing with Winnebago County issues. Now, I'm well aware that there will probably be a division this evening pretty much based on individual members' positions on those two issues before us. But it is terribly presumptuous to assume that we know what our constituents feel about those issues, because they have not spoken to us about those issues. We have never asked them to tell us their positions on these issues. So, again, I remind you that this is not our business. It has been stated earlier this evening when somebody was talking about someone from the public that we should show our legislators what the people of Winnebago County believe. I disagree with that very, very sharply, and therefore I offer motion to lay this resolution on the table and hope that someone will second it.
Second.
I don't think that's debatable.
No, I asked John.
I don't think it's debatable.
I asked John before the meeting.
I'm sorry?
I asked John before the meeting for the table. He said yes. What?
It's not an amendment, it's a table.
I thought, do we vote on tables? We do?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the appropriate motion would be to postpone. Lay on the tables, not the appropriate.
Okay, I have to wait for my corporation to tell me.
It says the motion to lay on a table enables the Assembly to lay the pending question aside temporarily when something else of immediate urgency has arisen, or when something else needs to be addressed before consideration of the pending question is resumed in such a way that there is no set time for taking the matter up again, but until the expiration of time limits, its consideration can be resumed at the will of the majority and in preference to any new questions that may then be competing with it for considerations. The motion is commonly misused in ordinary assemblies in place of the motion to postpone indefinitely or postpone to a certain time or other motions, particularly in such misuses. It's also known as a motion to table. So I mean, technically, Mr. Eisen is correct. Did you want to amend your motion to one to postpone?
I should like to amend my motion to postpone indefinitely.
Is that debatable? Can we debate that?
Well, give me a second and I'll tell you. Yes, as long as the debate can go into the main question. If the main question is debatable, that's debatable.
Okay, let's start everybody off and start over, because I got all kinds of questions
Oh, Smith's ahead of me.
Supervisor Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to postponing, I certainly agree with that and would have made a similar motion had Mr. Thompson not beat me to it, but I really see this as a couple resolutions that are hitting municipal bodies, governmental bodies all across the state, and it's politics 101. We're approaching election season. I do commend Supervisor Skellinger, and I did communicate that to him personally, that he has a passion for this issue, and as such, when or if the legislative committee gets up and running, maybe that would be the appropriate direction, but right now, this is certainly not the right course of action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep this brief. I absolutely agree 100% with Supervisor Thompson's motion, and I just want to, without going into a lot of detail, I want to reiterate what I said when this issue came up last year, that people don't understand. To say that they were kicked off is not an appropriate statement. What happened is that they decided that they weren't going to cover anybody over 100% poverty. That means that the 32 above that would have to find their own insurance. And I say that's just like everybody else in the marketplace. That's why we have that's what we have the exchanges for. That was the things that people wanted. They wanted to be able to go in an open marketplace and buy insurance. So to say they were kicked off is not a fair statement. This is, again, like Mr. Haig said, all about politics, and it is not in our best interest to be discussing issues like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I beg to disagree with Supervisor Thompson and Olson and Haig. I also would think that it would be very presumptuous of us to come to a position on this issue. However, there is nothing more democratic than to allow our constituents to voice their opinions. And I cannot agree to postpone this. I totally support this resolution. Thank you.
I think those who are willing to say that we don't have a say or a jurisdiction here over how we're committed to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars are fooling themselves. We sit here every month and talk about whether we should be spending $18,000 for this or only $15,000 for this. And this is a situation where we don't have the ability to directly as a body make a statement that we support or don't support the expansion. We have the ability to say that we should have a say at the table as a county and pass that to our voters and ask them what should be done. This is something that impacts our human service budget. It impacts the judiciary because having a restricted access to mental health is going to increase the demands placed on our law enforcement officers. Having this pass, having the state accept the money would down the road create stronger communities for us with more people seeking preventative medical care. To say that we don't have a say or that this doesn't affect us or doesn't impact us is beyond my comprehension. We're talking about more money than we were talking about with the dog park, and we've got concerns about that. So I strongly believe that this is something that we should weigh in on to allow our voters to step up to the table for us.
I think what I'm hearing is a fundamental misunderstanding of civics, local, state, national government. Again, I appreciate the passion for the issue, but we are acting as if constituents of the state of Wisconsin are little children that will have no voice in this issue if they don't get a Winnebago County ballot that says these two things. I don't get that. I kind of blame myself as kind of a civics teacher, but you can't tell me there is not ample opportunity to look up your assembly person, your state senator, the governor. If you're very passionate on one side of the issue, go volunteer for Mary Burke. If you're passionate on another issue, in my area of Neenah, we have some sea changes going on with people retiring. This is the opportune time for people to contact these people, say, hey, what are you going to do for me? Where do you stand on this? And don't say time is of the essence, because this is for the November ballot. So I really think that there are times to be appropriate, but I just see this as I'm letting them decide and then they can't do that. I honestly see that it is so possible to direct pressure with groups, with very passionate groups on either side of the issue. We heard from both sides of each of these issues in the public forum, and I thought very well spoken by many of them. I have my own abilities, but I have already contacted candidates. Where do you stand on this? And I think for us to kind of sit here and is silly to say, oh, they just want a voice. I mean, it's not like anybody, these people may be confronting the candidates for Assembly and Senate and all this sort of thing. And I feel that this kind of thing, it lengthens the meetings. We step outside our lane. Mr. Schellinger is right with a lot of these fiscal issues, but this is where we need to be individually talking to the parties that make these decisions. So I see this as Joe Citizen walks in my district to November this fall and says, should we raise the minimum wage to $10.10 or should we do this? Heck yeah, and okay, what? What have we done there? Hopefully you engender some debate, but there's better ways to do that. And attend these open forums, attend these debates, attend these things and make them. And, a lot of this, this kind of, please, we're not going to have any other recourse unless somebody of this does it. I think some of that comes from the federal level, which incidentally we could ask the county executive or his opponent on those issues. We are citizens, we are vibrant, we can get groups together, and I think a lot of us in this room have done that because we're passionate. Why else are we sitting here? So I'm going to oppose these two because I believe that this is just outside our lane, and I think we have such power in our own opinions to go to the state government or the feds or whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the county ballot that we're talking about. And on that county ballot, we're going to have the governor's race. We're going to have race for U.S. Congress. We may have other referendums on the ballot. That's what the ballot's for. The ballot is an opportunity for the people to speak up on issues presented to them on that ballot. And it kind of seems to me that maybe sometimes we don't want to know what the people feel about certain issues. I personally want to hear we run for county board in April. Barely anybody votes. Nobody runs against us. There's no issues discussed. I mean, unless you get lucky and have somebody at the door who's like, well, how do you stand on something, right? This is an opportunity for us to give voters more reason to vote. And we want to get the vote levels up because we need more people participating in government. I don't think it matters how you feel about these issues. I think it's good to get these kinds of questions on the ballot and get a measure of how people feel about them. So I'm going to support placing both of them on the ballot. And I hope, and in regards to postponing, I believe to get the ballot ready for November election, you can't postpone this. It just won't, there won't be time. Oh, maybe there will, but I don't think there is. That's why we have the primary when we do, so that there's time to prepare the ballots. So Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Supervisors Olson, Thompson, and Kyle, and I would just like to add something else to it. This is something that people can contact any one of our constituents, can contact the people that will actually make that decision, and that decision is made by our state assembly, Senate representatives, or our congressmen or U.S. senators. As for us to put this on the ballot, the next objection I have to this is the way it's worded. Shall the state legislature accept available federal funds for Badger Care to ensure that thousands of Wisconsin citizens have access to quality, affordable health care? I do not want to see something like that on the ballot because it is not proven that that will ensure thousands of Wisconsin citizens have access to quality, affordable health care. That's a statement, not an evidence. So I'm voting for tabling, and I'll vote against this resolution in total.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With all respect for all the people who have spoken, I just find it incredible to hear someone say, it's presumptuous for us to speak on behalf of our constituents. We're not. We're listening to them. We're saying, we care what you think. How are we going to find out what they think? We're going to knock on every door. We could, I guess. But, we toss around the term, we the people. Well, we the people are going to go vote in November on all kinds of important stuff. That's the one election where you have the highest turnout of people. The comment was made, well, this is all about politics. Geez, yeah. What is this, the evening meeting of the old ladies card club? We're here because of politics. We share an interest in government, and like it or not, politics isn't a bad thing. It's how we get things done. In a civil manner, the people of the state, the people of our county, rather, in this case, can have forums and hopefully encourage civil debate, give them both sides of the issue. I'm not interested in taking a position on either side of this, but according to information I received on August 12th, 2.4 million people in Wisconsin live in counties that are going to be voting on this as a referendum. So why not? Why not the people of Winnebago County?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if I really see this as political or not, but I suppose you could. I mean, I looked at this as kind of I thought it was a no-brainer. I mean, we want our constituents to voice their own opinions. I mean, basically, by putting this on the ballot, they're voting what? This resolution isn't saying that the board is for or against it. This is saying put it on the referendum. You got, millions of people screaming out there that government is too big. They're taking away our right to vote. They're taking away our right to speak or whatever. And now we're saying, but instead of putting it we don't want them to put it on the ballot because that'll give them the right to speak their mind. I mean, this is my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's any of the supervisor's opinion, but to me, if we vote no on this, we're telling our constituents that we don't want their voices to be heard at the voting booth on the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The concern was raised about the actual wording that would go on the ballot, and I must share some of that same concern. Part of that phrase is hypothetical, conjecture, possible stuff. So I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to that. Is that possible, Mr. Chairman?
We're voting on the table.
So the document cannot be amended by the body?
After.
Oh, it can at a later time? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. You're quite correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote for this, and for the main reason is I think it's our obligation to listen to the people. I see some of my people when I take a walk, but I don't hit my whole territory. I'll be honest about it. So I could go talk to this person, that person, but I'm really not going to talk to all my people. But at least by this being on the ballot, I feel I've done my job to help get it on the ballot. Then it's their job to decide which way they want to go. I personally think this is a good deal. We give a lot of money to other states and other countries. Why not, it's tax dollars, why not utilize some of our own tax dollars for our own people? I mean, that's what we're here for, is to try to take care of our people. Outside of that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess the first thing I want to do is quote a couple things that were said at the Outagamie County meeting, which I think are shown to be recurring here this evening. This is a quote. "This particular question is such a politically divisive issue," unquote. When I read this, I could see this happening. Supervisor Jim Ployce said the county was treading partisan waters in putting the question forward. Those of us who have run for election, those of us who have taken out nomination papers, know full well that we are nonpartisan. What are we doing talking about such a hot political issue? And my friend in the back says, quote, "We're here about politics," unquote. I respectfully disagree. We're not here about politics. That's why these two issues shouldn't be on the agenda. It's obvious, to me at least, when I saw the agenda, and the chairman will attest to the fact, I immediately sent him an email and said, why are these on the agenda? There's such hot political issues. We're nonpartisan elected officials. They don't belong in our court. I agree wholeheartedly with the supervisors who have said, contact your representatives in Madison, Washington, wherever. Talk to them. Those are the people that can do something about it. If you want to feel good about saying, I think this is what should happen, go ahead and vote for it, I guess. Somewhere along the line, it'll get thrown in a wastebasket. It's not going to happen. I did send an email to Sue Ertmer, and I don't know if she's had the opportunity, but I asked her what the cost would be, just as a sidelight. And I don't know if you've had an opportunity to check on that, Sue. Ballpark?
The biggest cost, it doesn't cost that much to put it on the ballot. The biggest cost is publication. You have to publish for referendum questions, so those can run us a couple of $1,000s in each paper. But as far as, like I said, cost per ballot, there's a slight programming charge for maybe like $60 to program it, but the biggest cost is publications.
My closing point is we're nonpartisan, and those of us that took out nomination papers realize that we're nonpartisan. So why are we, again this year, talking about issues like this? May of 2013, we talked about this same issue, and it was voted down, rightfully. I urge you to support Supervisor Thompson's motion, and we'll proceed. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Supervisor Rowe on this, and I just want to add that if they want to bring this up again and get from the local perspective, bring it up for our spring elections when it's all local.
Again, the jurisdiction, so if it's on there and there's a resounding yes or a resounding no, then it's like, so what? And so then what do you do if there's a big yes? Well, come join me and we'll go talk to the people in Madison, which is exactly what you could be doing right now. And something about the verbiage can be very a needless. Now, if we had jurisdiction over those monies and it was this body's power to do that, absolutely, an advisory referendum might be appropriate if we had power over it, but not in this case. And this can become an incubator for little, I'm not doubting the people's motivations. It could really, look at this. If yes, then what? Okay, so what? Well, then, can I put one on next November's to see what Winnebago County citizens feel about let's get this federal debt under control because I don't want my grandkid. Where does it end? And it comes down to the civics of it. What power does this body have to do anything with it? So I think we just kind of insert ourselves for no real gain at all. And again, the people are not infants. They can be mobilized, they can be talked to go put pressure where pressure can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I heard that this was a politically divisive issue. So was the ice arena, and we still considered that. I heard that this treads partisan waters. I'm assuming that somewhere along the lines that means that all Democrats support it and all Republicans oppose it, but that's simply not true. Republican State Senator Terry Moulton said, I think the fiscally responsible thing is to take the expansion. Republican State Senator Jerry Petrowski said we should pursue the full expansion of Medicaid as part of our implementation of Obamacare. Republican State Senator Luther Olson said, in my life, I never leave money on the table, and it seems like that's what we're doing. Republican State Senator Schultz has been on record in the same capacity. National Republican leaders like Jan Brewer, Chris Christie, Terry Branstad.
Not toward the postponement. Yes, and I might add, he's spoken more than twice to the issue. I believe he's on his third or fourth.
This is the second time I've spoke on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote to table both of these resolutions, only because I'm going to cut to the mustard. I'm going to tell you exactly what these two pieces of paper represent. If you look at them, both of them, who do they affect? They affect the poor. So what will happen is that if this is on the ballot, they will use scare tactics to get the poor to come out and vote. And who do the poor usually vote for? I don't have to answer that one. Most everybody knows that. So that's all these pieces of paper are. Exactly what I said. They're meant to get poor people out to vote. Plain and simple.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick observation. If one takes a look at the resolution itself, you would find that all three whereases are themselves commercials for not only having a referendum but for voting yes on it. They're taking a position on how the referendum should turn out. This is not the county board's business. We just should not be involved in this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In my many years on this board, I've never lost my temper publicly, but I'm real close. I'm real close. First of all, with respect to my friend in the front, I didn't say it's all about politics. I quoted somebody else that said it's all about politics. Everything we do here is politics. It's county board politics. It's city politics. It's school board politics with each of those bodies. They aren't partisan. All politics doesn't have to be partisan. So that was my point with that. The very fact that we're elected, what we do is partisan in the sense that we make decisions for our constituents. I didn't mean it as political party politics. But to fear that the poor people might speak up and want something, God, help us. What is this country coming to? Let the poor people speak. I'm just shocked and dismayed that we would even be having those words spoken after we started this meeting by standing out of respect and pledging allegiance to a flag that stands for liberty and justice for all, except the poor people. We don't want to hear from them. It's sad. It's very sad.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two quick comments. Once again, I think it's obvious that these are two political questions. We're a nonpartisan body. If you don't think it's political, think back about 3 minutes ago when the author of this resolution quoted 8 or 9 individuals. They were all politicians. They were all from the Democratic or Republican Party. They were designated to a specific party. We are not. The last point I would like to make, and it's a rhetorical question, I guess I'm curious whether the Democrats or the Republicans won the ice arena issue. Thank you.
This is the last one. Supervisor Kaminsky.
I will vote to table this indefinitely. I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Rowe, Mr. Kyle, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Smith. That's my 2 cents.
We're going to vote on our little iPad. You vote aye.
Aye to table. Or postpone. Aye to postpone.
Resolution 7682014, place advisory referendum on the minimum wage on the November 4th. 21st. Oh, wait. Placed on 768214, place advisory referendum on the minimum wage on the November 4th ballot. Supervisor Moore.
To adopt Resolution 76-82014.
Second.
Before this gets tabled, I want to say my statement, because I'm sure it's going to come. What prompted me to do this is, yes, I'm for raising the minimum wage. I think some supervisors know that. But really what prompted me to do this is when I saw nearly 3,000 residents of Neenah and Menasha sign petitions to have their city councils put the matter on their ballot. And I felt at that time that it should be a county-wide ballot to get the whole county's perspective on the issue. It is my right and my ability to put a county-wide initiative on the ballot, and that's why I did it. Yes, the issue is political. No doubt it's political, but the issue we're deciding now, like the last one, is not whether you're for getting the funds or on this issue whether raise the minimum wage or lower the minimum wage. The issue is whether or not we should let our constituents vote for on the matter. And if you table this or vote this down, you know who's going to be able to vote? Supervisor Keel, Supervisor Knitsky, Supervisor Locke. Why? Because the cities of Neenah, Appleton, and Menasha will be voting on it. And I just think that this county's residents and voters should have the same opportunity to vote on it like 6 other counties have. And there are two more pending, and a couple more cities are thinking about. Green Bay is thinking about doing it tonight too. I also think it's important because we're going to have a couple new legislatures in Madison from this county, as well as a new representative in Congress who, after the vote is taken, they'll be able to gauge how this county feels about that issue. That's why I think it's important, and that's why I think the people of this county should be able to vote on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the very same reasons that I stated earlier concerning referendums and all of that, and our taking positions on state and national issues, I respectfully move to postpone this issue indefinitely.
Second.
Anytime, yes.
I thought that you were done.
No. I guess, and this is on his motion, because he says the reason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been stated that the city of Neenah has this on a ballot. We have a council member, I believe, from the city. Could you explain to this body how that was done, the process that was used to get that on the ballot? Yes, if you will.
What Supervisor Afari is referring to is the direct legislation process. So there was a group in the Neenah area as well as in the Menasha area, and those were separate initiatives, but really about the same issue, referring to the minimum wage. And by the state laws, there's an opportunity for a petition for a referendum question to be submitted door to door to the public in whatever fashion, and if there are 15% of those signatures from 15% of those individuals who voted in the last gubernatorial election, then that has to come before the city council for consideration. And the city council really only has three options when those 15% of signatures are certified. And that is, I suppose it could be at a county level too, but it was at the city of Neenah. And one of those options is either to adopt that referendum question, in other words, approving it and saying that they're going on record in support of it, and then it would not necessarily go to a referendum question, or to refer it to the next election to go on the ballot as a referendum question, or they could simply do nothing or lay it on the table, in which case it would go on the ballot anyways. So the bottom line is, this is actually a state law for direct legislation that a number of individuals circulated petition papers for a specific referendum question referring to the minimum wage. There was also a similar petition that was circulated in regards to, I believe it was a group called Move to Amend to Overton Citizens United. Same situation, 15% of signatures from the last gubernatorial election, which then invokes this state law. And Corporation Counsel certainly can correct me if I'm wrong, invokes a requirement that it's either approved by that jurisdictional body or referred to referendum question in the next election. So that's how it got on the ballot in Neenah. It was approved to go to the referendum question. Some sort of action had to be taken place, or inaction would effectively be action anyways.
So it was not brought forward by an individual council member. And this body is not being asked to respond to a petition from the residents of this county for direct referendum. If we're going to quote, this is on the referendum for Neenah, I simply would like to bring forward clarity and truth to what's being proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, I'm going to go over what it said before. Line 38 of this resolution says, should the state of Wisconsin increase the minimum wage to $10.10 per hour? It doesn't say should Winnebago County, and that it says should the state. Well, we've got state legislators that we address for that. So I'm not only in favor of tabling this indefinitely, but make it disappear or change the name or change it to the county of Winnebago.
Thank you. I just want to get this understood from my supervisor, like Thompson and Smith. You don't think that we should have any referendums that don't directly affect this county. And so in the past, when we had a referendum, when we put on an advisory referendum in the past that had to do with state funding of, I think, human services and the judiciary, we shouldn't have that. And I just want to make that clear that we shouldn't have any referendums, advisory or not, that don't directly direct this county. Because that's what I'm hearing from Supervisor Thompson and Supervisor Smith. If that's the case, and you want to take away one aspect or one tool that we have to inform and our legislature what this county feels as a whole county, fine. I don't think it should be done that way, but that's what you're saying when you're saying we shouldn't have this on the ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Warning, I'm speaking with tongue in cheek, not warning. But once again, here we are, the citizens of Oshkosh. We don't get to vote. But all the people up in the north, in Neenah, Menasha, they get to vote. How come the north gets all this stuff? And we in Oshkosh gets what's left over.
Thank you. I promise to be brief. I'm hearing all kinds of things about how people should be able to express themselves in referendums. But it's kind of hard to find arguments for referendums that are also based on clear recommendations as how they should vote on that referendum. All of these whereases are commercials for voting in a particular way on the resolution, on the referendum. Should the Winnebago County Board be telling people in Winnebago County not only that they should have a referendum, I like referendums when they're needed, but we're telling them how to vote on it. Look at all the whereases. This is really a bad resolution.
As not to offend my partner here next to me, my wingman, I will try to be a little bit more politically correct this time and use economically challenged. I guess if you really wanted to, on the prior issue, and then probably on this issue, wanted to get out and vote and have a say, you could probably do that by saying who you wanted to vote for governor, because each governor candidate has come out and said that one has said he's not for it, and the other one said she is for it. So therefore, your vote could be heard there. I didn't say anything about economically challenged people not being able to have a vote. They can contact their legislator just as well as I can. So that's what they need to do, and we don't need to be involved in this. So I will vote to table this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, with tongue-in-cheek, I will remind my friend in the back that if he doesn't know this, 149 years ago, the North won one. Thank you.
I just had to have last word. I mean, to me, I don't particularly care about the politics of it or whatever. The reason why I looked at this is about a month ago on the news, they had the Green Bay shelter, the homeless shelter up there, and it was packed. It was because it was crowded. And one of the residents that they talked in there was a young single mother who was working 3 minimum wage jobs, but she was still in the shelter because she couldn't make enough to raise her family and get out and get an apartment. That was the only reason why I kind of looked at this. I didn't look at it as a political thing. I looked at it as, you know, here you got a single mother trying to make it. She's got 3 different jobs, but they're all minimum wage because that's all she could get at the time. And she can't even get out of a homeless shelter because she doesn't make enough money.
Yes.
guess I have an announcement today because I see people ready to scoop, so I'm going to do it before the last resolution. I want to thank Shannon Gilson, our supervisor from the university. This will be her last meeting, and we want to thank you for your service for the college area. You did a great job, and good luck to you whatever you're going to do. Resolution number 77-82014, approve amendments to the town of Inland zoning ordinance. Supervisor, sorry.
7-82014.
Aye.
Sure.
Supervisor Egan takes one.
You told me